Nothing like relaxing on my yacht after watching a movie. What's up, everybody? So, I'm going to be reviewing Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales. There will be spoilers at the end of this. Hold up. Alright. So, this is Disney's 5th installment in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. Stars Johnny Depp, Javier Bardem, whom I love as an actor, and Jeffrey Rush. Now, Jeffrey Rush plays Captain Barbossa, and throughout this franchise, Barbossa is actually my favorite of all the Pirates characters. When I think of like a pirate in my mind, what they look like, how they sound, with the wooden leg and kind of the beard, and he embodies all that is. And I've always thought he kind of steals the show. He has the like levered landlubber type of a deal. So of course I enjoyed him in this film. And Johnny Depp at one point was one of my favorite actors, but he's kind of like I don't know. He just keeps playing really cartoonish kind of characters, doing the same thing over and over and over. It's I don't know. Javier Bardem was good in the movie, as usual. The performances, I guess, it was decent. It's just, I don't know, the thing about the Jack Sparrow character, whereas I feel like in this movie, they kind of brought it back a bit. Excuse me. I feel like initially he would outwit his opponents, just using his mind and his some luck, but I feel like he's kind of become a parody of himself in a way. They do bring it back a little bit with this movie as opposed to the other films, where he was kind of just like a drunk guy stumbling through everything. This movie, you see some of that wit in some of the scenarios that they put him in, and he's able to outwit his opponents, which I liked. Now, with the directors, this was directed by, man, I guess I'm thirsty. It was directed by two Norwegian guys, and I've never heard of these guys. I don't know who they are. I kind of looked them up. I haven't seen any other movies. So they kind of came out of, I have no idea what they've done. Maybe they've done TV. I'm not a big TV guy. I don't know. But, I mean, they did a competent job. This is a competently made film. It's not great. I'll probably never see it again. At one point, I did start to get a little tired during the film and almost start to kind of nod off. But I mean, it picked back up again. So I would say if you're gonna go see this movie, go watch the. Man, really thirsty today. Go watch a matinee. Don't pay full price. Don't go watch it in IMAX 3D. You don't need to. It's just that it's hard for me to get excited for these movies just because I'm kind of already checked out. I'm just watching it now just because I kind of feel like I almost have to. I was a fan of the ride as a kid. I'm one of those people. Yeah, I remember it was a ride. The movie is based on the ride. They didn't make the ride for the movie. So would I recommend go seeing it? If you're a movie person, yeah. If you only go to see 2 or 3 movies a year, this is not the one that you wanna go see. You wanna go spend waste a trip on. So now I'm gonna get into a bit of spoilers. I'm gonna go over the synopsis of the movie. I might bumble through this. I wrote some of it down, but I'm mostly going off the top of my head. So it starts off with Orlando Bloom's character, Will Turner. His son ties some rocks to his feet and sinks down to the bottom of the ocean. And he lands on the Flying Dutchman, which, if you remember from the previous movies, Will Turner is cursed to that. He goes down there and lands on the Flying Dutchman, and he tells Will Turner, his dad, "Oh, I'm gonna save you. I swear I'll use the Poseidon's trident, and I'll use that power to break the curse." So apparently, Poseidon's trident is somehow the key to all the seafaring curses that exist in seafaring lore within the Caribbean. So if fast forward 20 years later, and Will Turner's son, whatever his name is, I'll call him Turner Jr., he's become really familiar with all these sea legends. He knows like every myth of the sea and all this stuff. And for some reason, he's on a British ship, and the British captain is about to go into this cave called the Triangle. And you know what? Let me move because I think my guy will be less thirsty if I sit somewhere else. Anyway, this captain, he's about to go into this triangle, which it turns out it's a cursed triangle. And he tells him, "Don't go in there." And the captain says, "Oh, well, this is treason." So he locks him up. And he goes into the triangle anyway. And it turns out that triangle is where Captain Salazar, Javier Bardem's character, is holed up, and he's imprisoned in this cave because he got tricked by Jack Sparrow many years ago into sailing in there where he wrecked, and he was cursed, and he cannot leave so long as Jack Sparrow possesses the compass. So anyway, the captain Salazar kills all the British guys, and he has this thing, which is where the movie gets its title, Dead Men Tell No Tales, because he only leaves one guy alive. He only leaves one guy alive on every ship so he can live to tell the tale of Captain Salazar. And he says, "I want you to find this man, Jack Sparrow," because he sees that there are wanted posters all over the ship for Jack Sparrow, because the British are hunting him down. And he tells Turner Jr., "Go find Jack Sparrow and tell him that death is coming for him." And the death's name is Captain Salazar. So then it cuts to Jack Sparrow. He's robbing this vault, which somehow he escapes, and he takes the vault, goes back to his ship, and there's nothing in it. This is never explained why it's empty. I have no idea why it's empty, but there's no money. So then his crew leaves, and now he's got nothing. So then he goes and gets drunk, like he always does, and he has no money, so he trades his compass for. When he trades the compass for the bottle of rum, it breaks the curse that was holding Salazar in the triangle. So now he's still cursed as, like, one of these demon things, but he can leave the cave and the triangle cave now. So then it turns out a little bit of a backstory of Captain Salazar. He is a Spanish. He sailed for the Spanish crown, and he hated pirates. So he would hunt down. He tried to hunt down every last pirate, and finally, when he killed a ship that Jack Sparrow was the first mate on, he killed the captain, and then the captain gave the compass to Sparrow, and Sparrow is the one who fooled him and got him cursed. So he heads back out to sea, and he's like killing every single pirate that he sees. And it turns out that by this time, Captain Barbossa is a hugely successful pirate. He is super rich, and he has a fleet of something like 10 ships. And Salazar is going out, and he's already destroyed like 3 of his ships. And some of the captains come out and to tell Barbossa, "Hey, this dude he's killing pirates left and right. He's sunk 3 of your ships." And he's like, "Oh, well, who is this? Who is this guy? Whatever's going on." And then it jumps to we're introduced to another character who's being called a witch. This is a female. Turns out she's an orphan, and she's not a witch, she's a scientist. But I guess back then, science is the devil. Okay, whatever. So, she's got this diary that she's following that can take her to the Trident of Poseidon. And in this diary she got... is all she had with her. So she was left at an orphanage with a diary, and that's all she had. And she became an astronomer so she could follow this diary, and she's on a quest to find the Trident of Poseidon. So I can't even remember exactly how her and Jack Sparrow and Will Turner was looking for Jack Sparrow to deliver the message. And Barbossa eventually ends up getting taken prisoner by Salazar. And then he says, "I'll find he's about to be killed, and he says, "I'll find Jack Sparrow for you if you spare my life." So he's out to look for Jack Sparrow, Turner is with Sparrow and the girl, and they end up getting chased down by Salazar. He makes it onto this random island where Barbossa catches up to him because Salazar, part of the curse is, even though he can leave that triangle cave, he cannot him or his crew cannot set foot on land or they disintegrate or something. So Barbossa says, "Hey, I'll go after him with you." Then Barbossa double crosses him, and if I remember correctly, I thought that the Black Pearl had been destroyed in previous movies, but apparently it's not, and it was in a small bottle that Jack had in his pocket. So Barbossa somehow has his magic sword that can bring back the Black Pearl. So he pokes through the little bottle that Jack has, because at this point they don't have a boat. The boat they had was a crappy little boat that looked like a cartoon boat that Sparrow built himself for a crew, and it mostly is just like a joke, and it gets completely destroyed. Or, anyway, it doesn't matter. So then, after Barbossa releases the Black Pearl from the little bottle, tosses it into the ocean, and they start to get away. They follow the diary to this Poseidon, the Trident of Poseidon, and eventually Barbossa catches up to them, like right as they're getting to the island, and then they get beached. And along this way comes the revelation that this girl, who's the astronomer slash witch, is actually Barbossa's daughter. So now he has a daughter somehow, and he doesn't tell her, and he has this little discussion with Jack. He's like, "I remember I left an orphan with a bunch of scribbles down on a diary." Which, if you can sense there's plot holes, yes, there's a lot of plot holes, and I'll get to that. Um, anyway, they get to the island. There was a ruby on the cover of the diary, which they used to put into this other like little red ruby thing that's lined up with this logo that's on the cover of the diary, which is also the same logo that Barbossa has tattooed on his bicep. And that activates some, whatever magic thing. It splits the waters, and down in at the bottom, right? And I mean split the waters like Moses and the Ten Commandments. Like it's all split open, and then Jack Sparrow and the girl they end up sliding all the way down, and down there they find the trident, and then Salazar goes down in there and starts fighting them all, and Will Turner Jr. also he slides down to the bottom where the waters are split, and they destroy they start battling and they destroying the trident, which breaks all the curses. So Salazar is no longer cursed, his crew's no longer cursed, they turn human, and also obviously Will Turner Sr. is no longer cursed. Um, so also now that it's destroyed, the waters start to close again. And then Barbossa, he stayed up top in the Black Pearl. He drops down an anchor. Oh no, Barbossa did not. It was the rest of the crew who stayed up there. Um, anyways, they drop the anchor to pull out, and then Salazar he manages to get onto the anchor, but his crew they all drown when the waters close. And for whatever reason, here's a big spoiler: Barbossa, at the last second while he's hanging on this anchor being lifted up out of the water while it's closing, tells his daughter, shows her the tattoo, and she's like, "Well, what am I to you?" Just the looks on their faces, she realizes like, "Holy shit, this is my dad." I grew up as an orphan and I didn't know my dad. And she's like, "What am I to you?" And he's like, "Oh, you're my treasure." And then he like dives down with a sword and like stabs Salazar, and then they both fall to their deaths where they drown. Which I don't know that Barbossa had to die right there. Like I don't know why. I don't know why he had to. I feel like it was an attempt to get the crowd to be audience to get emotional, but they could have just pulled him up, and then it would have been 1 versus like 30, and they would have all just ganged up on him and killed him. I don't think Barbossa needed to die right there, and I don't know that he is really dead. He didn't get injured. He just sort of stabbed Salazar, and the waters were already mostly closed, so he could have just swam back up to the top. I don't know. I don't know for sure that he's dead, but I guess he kind of is because they left him there without him, even though there was an island right there. I don't know. So that's pretty much the end of the movie. Then they go back to this island, and then Will Turner Sr. comes back, and he's like, "Oh, son, you freed me after all this time." And then And then what's her name? The really skinny girl from the first two pirate movies, and the bad, whatever her name is, she comes running back and hugs Will Turner, and I'm like, I found this ending. I was like, oh, okay, the characters from the old movies, but it felt so flat. Like everything felt so flat towards the end. Like I'm like, oh, they're hugging, they're back together, yay! But I felt like I didn't care. I felt like I'm over the story of Will Turner and his curse, and I'm over the story of whatever that other girl's character's name is. I didn't like that they killed Barbossa because he was my favorite pirate, like I said. Um, I I didn't like I said I don't hate the movie. It's a good movie. It's an above average movie. But it just I don't know. And like Jack Sparrow gets away and he's like looking at him through a telescope. Will Turner hug Maggie Turner or whatever her name was. And he's just like, oh, that's gross. And I'm like, and then he set sail, which was kind of cool. I was like, oh, cool, he set sail for another adventure. And I'm like, you don't need to keep bringing these characters in to 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 get some kind of emotion or whatever. Like, um, eh. So, uh, it has some nice cinematography. Let me go into that. Um, I really like how they did the scene where they're fighting on the ocean floor. There's all these beautiful coral reefs, and then the waters are split up on the sides, and like Salazar's crew are waiting there in the water on the other side of the water wall because they can't touch land. Um, which that doesn't make sense because he was fighting with Will Turner, so he could be on the land, but his crew can't. I mean, I don't know. And and let me get into the plot problems. Like if that daughter was following the diary that Barbossa left her, then why was Barbossa saying there's no such thing as Poseidon's trident? Those are just scribbles that I left her. Like, why didn't he just go after Poseidon's trident himself? Like, he wrote the book on how to find it, and then she followed it. I mean, he didn't have the ruby. I mean, I guess maybe that was it, because he didn't have the ruby and he gave it to her. Um, I don't know. I could see he was ashamed to tell her that he was her dad, but I mean, he tells her at the end when he kills himself. I'm like, that's kind of crappy. Like, that's like, yeah, that's like a crappy thing. By the way, I'm your dad, now I'm gonna die, sacrificing myself. But you didn't need to sacrifice yourself. I, I don't know. I thought the Black Pearl was destroyed, and apparently it's not. Um, eh. Anyway, there's some nice shots, and like I said, I'm a fan of pirate lore. I don't, it's a competent movie. The soundtrack, they brought back the theme, but I felt like there was little, um, I don't know. I've kind of become emotionally detached from these pirate movies, which is kind of a sad thing because I really love the whole pirate lore and the idea of pirates and everything. But yeah, if you're a frequent moviegoer, go watch the matinee. Otherwise, wait for the Netflix or rent it. I guess if people still rent movies, I don't know. Um, yeah. So on Commander Star Strider's scale, I would give this movie a 63. 63% is what I would give this movie. So it's slightly above average just because of the competency with which it was made, and I love Barbossa's performance. I like Salazar's performance too. But you didn't need to involve the Turners or do this whole thing with Barbossa's got a kid now, and I feel like it could have just been Salazar trying to get revenge on Sparrow. Maybe the next one introduce a new pirate, and please not Sparrow's son or nephew or whatever. Just like something else. I kind of had these ideas that Sparrow would die in one of these, and he'd name a successor, like a really kick-ass successor. That was not just a drunk that kind of like fumbled through the movie and like, oh haha, look at me. But yeah, I'd give it a 63. It's an okay film. It's good. A little above average, but not by much. And I think this movie's gonna probably make $1 billion, given the fact that people keep seeing them over and over. Like me, I mean, I paid. But anyways, um, that is it for me. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and I will see you later. Signing off.